Hey, thank you all so much for joining another episode of Celeste the Therapist podcast. My name is Celeste. I'm a therapist from Boston. I have a special guest. I'm going to have him introduce himself to you all.
Hey, what's going on? I'm Oliver Lastname. I'm a house producer, DJ turned author slash now I'm founder of For People Who Love People, a company helping people get closer to themselves and the people around them through personal development and arts and entertainment.
Okay, I like that. For people who love people. And it's funny, some people be like, I don't like people, but I think I think sometimes people stay away from people because of our confidence. We struggle with confidence. We struggle with how do we communicate, how do we be in relationship with people, especially after the pandemic. Just doing this work, I've noticed the shift in how people relate to people. You've
Mm-hmm.
gotten so used to being isolated, but there's so much power in community, and I'm sure we'll get into that as it's part of what you do. And I'm sure that's a big reason why you do it. People don't realize the healing energy that comes from community. So I just I love that, when I got your bio and stuff, I was like, oh, this is so dope. I love that so much because it's needed. Sometimes people be like, oh, I wasn't going to go out. And then I pushed myself to go. I'm glad I went.
100%. I know that feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. So before we get into your company and how you got to it, it sounds like such a dope experience. And I'm sure it has its ebbs and flows on how it was created. I would love to learn about you. Like, what was your upbringing like?
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I was born and raised in Indianapolis, 1989, and grew up with my mother and my brother in the household. So we spent a lot of time like forming a bond and really having a relationship with each other. And, for years, that was who I had, and from that, as my brother, we're 5 years apart. So as he started getting a
Okay.
little older, I started to realize for myself, I needed friends of my own. I needed to, find new ways to express myself. And that's when I really like made the conscious decision. And really it came through him. I remember, he made me extroverted because I remember my childhood best friend when we just moved into our new home in like 97. I was like 8 years old. And so that he was like 13. And we saw two houses down. My now friend, him and his father and his sister, they were outside playing basketball in the street with their court. And my brother came in. Hey, man, they down there playing basketball, man. Hey, go down there and see if we can play. I'm like, I don't know these people. I'm thinking, I don't know them. But I thought to myself, let me see if we can play. So I went down there and started playing basketball. And meanwhile, he stayed in the house waiting for me to give him a signal or something to come down. And next thing you know, we ended up childhood best friends and still are friends to this day.
Wow.
And that for me was the forming and the start of what a relationship with friends look like. Like I had them before at school, but that was my first time intentionally meeting
Mhm.
somebody outside of my social circle, and
Mhm.
intentionally putting myself out there vulnerably. And that really is the start of who I am and where I am today. That one moment really shifted my life. And from that created so many relationships with just him and then the other people in our neighborhood, where at the age of like 12, 13 years old, I started a record label. I was in,
Wow.
yeah, I went to Toys R Us to buy like I think it was a new Spider-Man game. But while I was in line, I saw a PlayStation beat making software in like the sale aisle, in the bin when I was checking out, and I was like, whoa, hold on, I want Spider-Man today, but I gotta save up my money for this later. And I saved my money up and went back and got it and started a record label around my neighborhood. And I have
So
four
you was
people.
already into music by then for you to think
Yeah,
that way,
like
where you
12,
music was
13
a
years
big deal for
old.
you?
Yes. Yeah. It's just something that's been natural for me. It's what allowed me to find my own rhythm in life, through music. And so with that happening, that I started I would write all of our songs, and I was the oldest. So I was like 2 to 4 years older than everybody. So my thing was, okay, we were recording on tape. So we would go around the corner and grab 3 packs of tapes for $1 at this place called
You
Dollar
gotta
Hut.
let people know what tapes are, because I got
Oh
some
my, yeah,
people that
cassette tapes. Yeah, the cassette tapes. So we only had like I think 45 minutes on both sides or something like that, 30 to 45 minutes on both sides. And I took that, my PlayStation 2 and a 19-inch television. I put that up on in my closet, and that was our studio. And we
Yo,
had
that's wild. You was an
we,
entrepreneur at such a
oh,
young age.
oh yeah, I've been doing it. Yeah, like we had one take. I was the oldest, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna write y'all lyrics, but y'all always go first and I go last, because if I get a dope verse, the first verse, and I kill it, and then you mess up the second and third verse, I gotta re-record. Now I'm mad. Now everybody mad. So I was like, okay, let me write y'all verses. Y'all go first, because we got one take to knock this all out, and that's what we did. So we had albums. I
Wow.
mean, I still have all our artwork. Like I was writing, like when you used to watch BET and MTV, when they would have like the beginning of
Yep.
and ending of music videos, like the title of the artist, the title of the song, and then director. Like I still have all that for me, printing that stuff off as a kid to like inspire us to like shoot our music videos one day.
Wow.
Yeah, I still have all of that.
You so I'm gathering you are a creative person. In school, did you feel like that came out as well, or was that only at home that you was able to explore that creativity side of you?
It was a little bit of everywhere.
Okay.
For me, I struggle with, and this is something I'm working on because I want to be a better leader, but I struggle with authority.
Mhm.
Not in the sense of like, I just always felt like authority was like, do it this way or no way at all. And for me, I was always trying to find new ways to implement. So for me, with authority, it was always so rigid. So that's how I kind of treated school, where I was a class clown. I was the guy that made people laugh. I was the guy that brought my beat machine to school, made beats
Uh,
in 10th grade. In like 12th grade, I was making beats in English class and selling them for
yeah.
$50 to people. So for me, it's always been, okay, how can I go to school and really use school as a way to collaborate with people? And how do I use school as a way to network with people? And that's how I used it. I kind
It's
of, I'm sorry.
it speaks to your creativity where because it's not about you have an issue with authority. I think it's more of the structure. Like you're a free spirit. And school doesn't allow like the traditional school that the public school education doesn't allow us to be free spirit. That's why some people struggle in school behaviorally is because of they're trying to put us in a box and like sardines when we are all individually uniquely made. And I wanted to say that there's some parents listening or even some individuals who maybe didn't understand why was school so hard for me, and it's because it's like there's these systems that's designed to keep us mentally trapped, and it
Oh,
starts in school. Like, what are your thoughts about that?
no, I agree 100% with that. I believe school is an opportunity for people to, well, the system, number one is the system, and that's it works for some people, but it doesn't work for all. And I think with
Exactly.
that, it comes this idea that, hey, I'll tell you this, because now you got me talking now, for real, because I'm passionate about this, but it's always been weird to me that it was like, okay, at the age of 18, you're supposed to have the rest of your life figured out. The age of 18, you're about to make the biggest decision of your life. It's always been the wildest thing for me.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
18,
Yeah.
I gotta decide what college I go to, because that's the life I'm supposed to live now for another
Right.
60 years. It's been the
Right.
wildest thing for me. And for me, I have a son, he's 9 years old. And for me, my focus with him is to do the things that you enjoy presently. Let
Yeah.
it change,
Yeah.
let it grow. For
Yeah.
me, it's not about what I want to put on him. You can be whatever you be,
Yeah.
just because you can only be a failure to yourself.
Mhm.
I can't call you a failure. Your mother can't call you a failure.
Mhm.
A Celeste can't call you a failure. Nobody
Society
can call you a
can't.
failure.
No, you got to
Nobody.
look
It's
at what
only
yeah.
about what you wanted to do and what you didn't accomplish. That's the
Yeah.
only mark of failure, and that can only come from you.
Yeah.
And
That's good.
and I feel like school doesn't allow that. School is like, hey, either it's all about grades. If you get an F, you're a failure. And it's like, no, that you know what? That was just the mark of where I was 3 months ago.
Mhm. I
I'm
get
sorry.
it.
I'm sorry. My mom was all over the place 3 months ago. I'm sorry I got a
Right.
D. My mom was over the place, but we didn't hear
Right.
that growing up. It was, you got an F, you're stupid. You got
Yeah.
an F, you're dumb. You got an F, you don't know nothing. It's like,
Yeah.
no, it's just where I was 3 months ago, man. Hey,
Right.
I didn't know, my family didn't know where they were gonna live. Hey, 3 months ago, hey, my
Right.
girlfriend broke up with me. Hey, three
Right.
months ago, my friend just said he didn't want to be my friend no more. I was struggling, and
Right.
that's not taken into account with school.
It's not.
They base it totally off of that, and they think that's who the person is. And I think that's the
Mm-hmm.
great issue with that. Because for me, I mean, I started off getting A's and B's from like first all the way till about sixth or seventh grade, and then from there I started getting like a B C. You know, I start ranging around the B C's, a couple D's in there, you know, and stuff like that. And for me, that was fine. That never really shaped who I was because I knew I went to school to have a good time. I
Mm-hmm.
knew I went to school for the people. I
Mm-hmm.
knew, you know, and I learned, but it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't necessarily the things that I felt that I was going to take with me because I knew that wasn't what I wanted to do. I knew I was going to be a creative. I knew I was going to rely on my mind and my mindset to get me through, and that's kind of what I've lived off of.
What because it's interesting here listening to you say like I knew I mean obviously the creativity part like you're getting that mixed thing and selling beats and creating that so you were creative but I feel like when I speak to adult clients they talk about, you know, and actually helping them see like, wow, you sound creative. I feel like there's no path. Like society doesn't create a path for creatives. Like if you want to be a doctor, lawyer, therapist, a teacher, there's a path where you like, I do this. With creatives, I feel like they struggle because it's like society doesn't really recognize that. Um, how did you become comfortable with naming it like that?
That's all I have.
Okay.
I can't see myself doing anything else. You know,
Oh
I've tried,
wow.
and I can't see myself do anything else.
Yeah.
I just it's just me, and that's the hard. I know I can't hold on to anybody else and what they want to do, but the most important thing I can hold on to is what I want to do. And for me, it's just been that I have to live within the foundations of what I created. Because again, nobody else can call me a failure but me. And I've only felt down on myself when I didn't do the things I said I would do.
Yep.
Even whether I told you or not, it's the things that went in my mind that I didn't do, and
Yep.
those are when I felt the most like a failure. And that was for myself. And so for me, getting a job or doing anything outside of what the way I like to service people and the way I want to service people, servicing people for me doesn't require a job. It requires me to use my mind so that I can
Mhm.
show people the way I think because I believe that this is the way that can help somebody.
Well, I love that for you, and you know, because I talk to a lot of people, like I love hearing you speak so freely about it. But how do you keep the discipline? Right, we live in a society. First of all, you're black in America, one strike, and you know, you're living a life that America, like a lot of times, is not recognizing. You've become so grounded and comfortable in it. What would you say to people that are like, man, I wish I can like be that way? Because I'm sure it takes some discipline on your end and some practices to keep you motivated because it's not like society's motivating you and celebrating you that way. So what is it that you're doing to have this mindset that you have today?
Positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
That's the greatest thing I think I have is positive reinforcement. It's hearing the things that motivate me to keep going. It's me taking out the things that don't. Like I'm telling you, like this is one of the books I walk around with every day. The Power of Positive.
Yes.
Oh my
Norman
God.
Vincent Peale. Les Brown talks about him all the time. Yeah.
I have so many of these just prayers and scriptures just I mean all around me
That's
even in my I
dope.
mean even in my look at this, like I took my girl to the botanical garden the other day and I found this key just sitting on the street and I picked it up and I said, you know what, this is the key that's going to unlock everything. Don't know what
Yes.
key it is, but I need
Yeah.
this as
A
motivation to
reminder.
keep going. I have something I read daily in my wallet that I bring out so it keeps me grounded for my wife so that my son can live a full, healthy, and prosperous life.
I love that.
It's
This is
that
so
that's
dope.
what keeps me going. It's
Okay.
and it's reading this John Johnson succeeding against the odds.
Oh wow! You guys listening to Oliver, I'm telling you, I have chills because it's literally what you're saying. I'm so again, this is my first time talking to Oliver. I didn't really know his story, but I have chills listening to you talk because this is what I talk to my people and about doing is creating these practices. You're giving yourself medicine, because I don't, we have so much stacked against us, especially as Black people. And I want to make sure we're doing everything within our power. We have a lot of power to create change with our mindset. But in order for that mindset to be shifted, we got to engage, not just one time and read one book. And I tell people, like Les Brown is a motivational speaker that I love listening to. I'll
Mm-hmm.
listen to the same thing every day and still feel like good, right? And I tell people, I'm like, sometimes you want pizza today, you want it next week, and it's still good. And I say, you got to feed your spirit every day the way you feed your belly. And,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like a system that we're not taught. We're not taught that way. And it's not by accident we're not taught that way. So I really want you all to like take a note from what Oliver's saying, because it's true. Like those things, because I'm like, there's no way he's just winging this the way you talking. And you came out with the real deal. I love that. This is really, I'm just finding this out. This is so dope. I love that for you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I keep them things on me. Like those are things because I need it
We all,
every day.
yeah.
I wake up. There's so many like people I listen to, like Norman Vincent Peale. I listen to Earl Nightingale's
Mm-hmm.
The Strangest Secret. Oh my God, like I listen to that every day.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's
That's medicine.
35 minutes every day I listen to. It's like
Yeah.
action, action, action. And that's what it's about for me. It's action. And another mindset that's changed for me, it's changed from money and it's changed to service.
Yeah.
Because like he says, a lot of people believe that you're successful if you make a lot of money. No, you make a lot of money if you're successful.
Mm-hmm.
Success comes first, then the
Mm-hmm.
money follows.
Yeah.
So for me, it's how do I create enough service for people, and you're gauged by how many people you can service. So it's like, how can I
Yeah.
serve more people? Like
Wow. That's good.
I'm trying to serve billions of people.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
good.
I look at
Oh,
Jesus as an inspiration. Like, man, hey, bro, hey, man, dude, you
mm.
was out here servicing people, man. I want to be like you. Like Jesus was out
Yeah.
here serving to be, and he believed so strongly in what it was that he was doing that he could just tell people, hey, man, hey, my father said do this and that, and people, all right. That's how I
Uh-huh.
want. I want that kind of conviction and power where I'm like, I believe that strongly in myself that people believe in me, but I
Wow.
believe in them just as much,
Yeah.
like I was reading, I think in um, how to what was it? Think and Grow Rich. People serve me because of my ability to serve them, because of my willingness to serve them, and that's how it's been for me. How can I serve other people? Not selfishly, but I just want to serve other people. So then that just comes back in return for me.
Mm-hmm. It really
And praying
does.
for my enemies. I pray for everybody now. I pray for people on the street that walk by me. Hey man, pray that you get home safe, because that same thing is now coming back to me. And it's just like everything is all about reciprocation. So whatever I give out, I'm willing to give back. So it's
Wow.
it's been teaching me to be selfless. It's really an
Yeah.
act of me being selfless because I felt I've lived a life of selfishness. And
Okay.
like this act of wanting to be better and wanting to be greater is actually allowing me to just release all of that
And it
into the
sounds like you want to make your today better than your yesterday. Like you're
every day.
competing against who you were yesterday, not Celeste, not anybody else, but who you were yesterday.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
pray every day. That came from the power of positive thinking. About this guy was praying. His prayer was basically he would ball up the calendar, the day of the calendar, and throw it in the trash can. And he would pray to God at that very moment that, you know, now this day is over. Thank you for giving me the courage to do as much as I've done. And he always apologized to God for not fully taking everything that he said into consideration. And now this day is over. Bless me so that as I move forward, I will have a better tomorrow. And that's been my
Wow.
mindset now. How can I have
Yeah.
a better tomorrow? So I can't have,
Yeah.
so I can, hey, I want to sleep good at night. I don't got
Yeah.
time to be stressing.
Holding on to all this mess.
I'll be going through it, and you just see me sleeping like a baby.
Yeah.
Well, with that tomorrow, I'm not about to be stressing and losing no sleep
Yeah.
over it. It ain't worth it.
Yeah. It's
It
not.
ain't worth
It's not.
it. It ain't worth
That's good. Now, I know your love for music, your love for Black people. Where did that come from?
it. I think that comes from the love for myself and really the love for my son. These are really tools and concepts from him to move forward as he gets older in life.
Yeah.
That's really been what it is for me. And really, it's given us resources. We don't see ourselves in spaces where we where we see personal development, where we see
No. Outside of
growth in
like
us.
basketball and football,
Yeah.
like um I mean, now with social media, we're seeing people like you, right? We're seeing other people that are doing things that you don't have to like be on a field or be performing to do,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, yep, 100%. For me, so I am I'll also add that I am a director, and that's what um I kind of transitioned from as I was getting older. But what brought me back to it was the pandemic. Brought me
Mm.
back to music was the pandemic. I just moved out to LA in 2020, September 2020. Productions were shut down, and I needed something to do in between that. So during that moment, that period of time, I was having conversations with my roommates at the time, and we were all young black living in LA, and
Mhm.
from that, we were just having powerful conversations just about life. And I
Mhm.
was like, you know what? These should be songs. What if I took this? Because I get inspiration from these conversations. What if I add these to songs and make this and create songs that empower others like y'all empower me? So I started having conversations,
Wow.
recording them, and I started off as a hip hop producer. So I was doing majority of like sampling old school records. But I thought to myself, you know what? This is a great opportunity for me to now give these royalties to my friends. So that's what I started
Wow.
doing. We would have conversations, and if you made it on the hook, you got 30%. If I just used a small part for like the beginning of the record or end, I'll give you 10%. So basically, you got from 10 to 30%. And from there, that was like, okay, well, how can I? My girlfriend challenged me, and I always love challenges. She was like, you know what? You've been releasing a lot of music. This is in 2021. What if you just start promoting the music that you have? And I said, let me try that. So I thought to myself, what's the how can I connect with the fan base that I have in order to like get to know them more, and we get to know
Yeah.
each other more? And that's when I thought of the concept of the books and the tour that I did, where it was like, okay, let's turn 5 of my songs into questions, and now start asking those to people in cities around the world. And that's where a
Wow.
book for people who love people was formed. And so I have we have 25 thoughts, feelings, and ideas of Black people in cities around the world. This is
Wow.
this is LA, and these are 5 of my songs. So one of my songs is something for me. So that question was, what's something you're currently putting off for yourself, and why? And we have another question for my song Over You. And that question was, what did your last relationship teach you about yourself? And we have 3 other questions. And from that, there was just so much transformation that came from that, from people going back to college, getting their degree, to people moving across country, people now in healthy relationships. And it's all because they answered these questions and really had to put a mirror in front of them. They had to see themselves, and that's what this created, was an opportunity for them to see themselves. And I wanted to expand on that. I was like, okay, well, what more can we do for people? And that's when For People Who Love People was formed as a way to create tools and resources. So like workshops, worksheets. We have our book club where we take one response from each chapter a week, and we actually break this down. So last week our discussion was about happiness, and how do you find happiness? Because I was from a response from Justine in our indie book about what she wanted to be growing up and how has that changed. That's one of the questions. And her response was about, first she wanted to be something big, like, a lawyer, um, or a doctor. And then she just realized she wanted to just be happy. And so now we take your response and we break that down even to even more of a further question to be asked.
Wow.
So that was, how do you find happiness? And for me, to bring it all back to the question, for me it was about creating tools and resources for us to become better, and for us to see ourselves, and us to be proud of what we're doing and where we're going.
I
Because
love that.
I need it.
Say that last part again.
Because I know I need it. I
Yeah,
know I
yeah,
need
yeah. I
it. I
know.
know other people people do, you know? So,
It sounds
yes.
like a amazing community, and for my audience listening, you see how, because people will look at it because it's your system is already set up, right? And people will be like, "Oh my gosh, like how did he just do that?" But it took you putting one foot in front of the other, like from the conversation. And if you keep your mind open too, the reason why people are getting stuff from your book with these questions is I tell people you got to ask yourself questions, like challenge yourself. The more you challenge yourself, the more I feel like God, if you believe in God, the universe will actually show you the answer. I grew up in church, and I tell people I used to be thinking like, oh, it's God, like this voice. And the more that I've gotten older and more spiritual, and I've come to understand in stillness, there's clarity. And the more I ask questions and challenge myself and be in community, like I find myself being able to see the picture a lot clearer.
Hmm.
Like there's moments that I feel stuck, but I never stay stuck because
Hmm.
of how much I'm challenging myself. But it's like we got to get out of our own way. You know what I mean? Which
Yeah,
is hard.
it is. It is. So, I'm grateful for people in my life to reveal who I am to me when I don't see it. That's
Yeah.
been getting my ego out the way, but it's really what I need. It's those
Yeah.
conversations that you have that you feel some way that I go back home and I'm like, okay, why did I feel that way? Well,
Yeah.
because it's never on them. It's always on me. So why did I feel that way? What took me there? And I try to look back to all those moments in my life to where I felt that way, and I'm trying to correct it for next time, and really challenge my beliefs, and really to see if it's really something that I need to stand on, or I need to let it go now.
Yeah. That's so good. Now listening to for people that are watching on the YouTube or Facebook, this is his website for people who love people. And as you can see, it says amplifying Black voices, inspiring connection and empathy, facilitating authentic conversations, cultivating self-reflection. This community that you've built, we see how it happened, but I'm curious as to, as you were developing it, because there's a lot of people that have these ideas. Did you go back and forth in your head at times, and what got you through to like get to the point where now you were able to create it and create the website and create the community?
Yeah, I think for me, I still go back and forth just with new ideas.
Yeah,
But and I think that's what allows me to maneuver a little bit.
yeah,
But what got me to the point that I'm at now is really, I think originally I went in there selfishly for me. It was,
mm-hmm,
how how can I do what I love to do? And I
mm-hmm,
realized that wasn't working. I'm like, okay, well, what do people actually want from me? How is this? I had to actually break this down. How does this actually help people? Because it sounded like a cool idea. It
mm-hmm,
sounded cool, but is it really helping? And if so, how is it helping and why is it helping? So it really required me to go back and ask the people who enjoy what we're doing, what do you like about it?
mm,
Why do you like it? What would you like to see more of? What are we missing? So it's really just required me to take suggestions from people. Even my girlfriend's sister has said, because she joins our book club every week, and she said like a couple of months ago, oh man, it would be nice if we had homework. And that is what was the birth of the worksheets. Oh, so we could just do worksheets and then we can create those and just have those available for people. So that's what we did,
nice.
that led us to even more worksheets that's produced for people. Just as a way of like, as I come across things that kind of hit my mind of thought, okay, well, how can I create a worksheet that can also get people through this? So
Mm-hmm,
it's been that. And really the thing is removing myself so I can get past myself. That's been the
mm,
most difficult thing. So I think the most beautiful thing about this entire journey is it's not a business I'm building. It's really myself that I'm building. It's really
wow.
me getting, like you said, get beyond ourselves. I'm like, and that's what it is for me. I'm like, if I know if I can build this the way I want to and the way I see it, I know I will have accomplished the life that I know that I want for myself and that I want for other people. So, you know, as much as it is personal development for other people, it's truly personal development for me.
Mm-hmm,
And that's what
mm-hmm.
gets me by. It's like, okay, if you stop today, you failed. You've given up on yourself.
Yeah, yeah,
And so
yeah.
now I don't quit the project. I just quit the direction in which I move at times, you
Mm-hmm,
know. So now we started a radio show called Your Favorite Late Night Mix, where, for people who love people, it's basically funneling through that. So we have, the dopest DJs in LA and the dopest musicians. And we've collaborated with our friends that are actually curious. And so we asked three of their questions to our audience and to our live chat. So now it gives you an opportunity to grow and know yourself through arts and entertainment. So you come
Wow.
on there every Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. You join us in the chat, or you join us in person. We're on the rooftop this Friday, and it's an opportunity for you to ask questions to yourself and create that community and through music and entertainment. Because that's what it is. I think if you can put personal development and entertainment, you've won. You captured everybody. That's
Yeah.
the part that's been missing. It's
Yeah.
been it's like entertainment and personal development is separate, and it's like, for me, how do we put it together to make it one?
Yeah, I remember growing up, and when I was struggling, I remember listening to the radio all the time. I used to record on my cassette tapes, and thinking how powerful music was. Writing, journaling for me, writing and music. And it wasn't until I became an adult and a therapist, and I started learning about coping strategies. And I'm like, oh, this is what was getting me through the music. And I believe I think it was on your website where you talked about, this idea of developing, and it felt daunting. And that was why you kind of merged the two. Cause,
Hmm.
especially movement, body, moving your body, it allows you to, if you're just sitting there, just, kind of the traditional way, but you've kind of created a different avenue that's very unique, and will allow other people to kind of step out their comfort zones, because of it feels very intentional what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I hear a lot of, comfort zone. That's what it is. It's really pushing past that, a little bit of discomfort to get you
Yeah.
along the way. A little bit of discomfort will get you a long way,
Yeah.
and that's what I believe, and that's what it is for me. Because, like I tell everybody, this is very uncomfortable for me as well. I'm a director by nature, so I just enjoy being in the background, and I enjoy shooting scenes, but not necessarily being in the scene. And this is forcing me as Oliver Lastname to be in the scene. So it's
Yeah,
been it's been it's been really challenging for me. It is, but like,
yeah.
I have to do it in order for other people to do it. You know what I'm saying? It's just what comes with it. So I'm willing to take it on. As like I said, the only way I can fail is if I give up. And and
Yeah,
giving up, I would feel like such a failure. So I'm
I love
continuing to
that.
go forward.
And it's so funny because when I started my practice in like 2015, I told people I didn't even want my picture on the website. And when I started working in emergency rooms, and people would get this, I had these locks and these hoop earrings, and I would see my people in there, and they would open up because it's like, okay, I don't know, it was just something different, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, like my people are struggling. So I decided, that's when I started going YouTube and this platform that was called Periscope. And I literally started because out of the necessity, because I had this passion to see people grow and heal. And I said, like you just said, you was like, believe me, and sometimes I get nervous too. I'm like, when I'm speaking in front of audiences or if I'm going live, my stomach starts turning. And I appreciate you sharing that, because you, like, looking at your platform, you just kind of go out there so freely. And that's, people look at me too that way. And I tell them, like, no, my stomach be turning
Every
sometimes.
time.
But
Yeah.
my why is always in my mind. And you know why me and Oliver's why is in our mind? Because we keep it in front of him. You see, he got it in his wallet. He's constant. So when you keep feeding your mind, that little thing in your stomach ain't gonna even matter, because your mind is so hyper focused on your goal.
Yeah, yeah. I don't see anything else but where I want to be.
Yeah, that's so dope. That is so dope. I literally understand that so much. This was amazing conversation. If people wanted to get the book or join the platform, and again, I want you to say it for them out loud, but you can also find that information in the show notes, so that you can click on it. And the beautiful thing about having an online platform is that you don't have to be in LA to be able to be a part of it, which is amazing.
Yeah, 100%. Yep. You can find us at fpwlp.com. That's for people who love people. And then also, too, on social media, you can find me at I am Oliver Last Name on Instagram. Our Instagram for people who love people is for people who love people, just all spelled out. And then for our weekly radio show, that's Your Favorite Late Night Mix Radio. So that's YFLP. LMN Radio on Instagram. So just the acronym of your favorite late night mix radio.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love the acronyms.
Uh,
And then is if people wanted to buy and tap into the platform, what will they get? Like what they'll get the book. There's a book club associated with it.
yep, they get.
There's the
They,
homework assignments.
Yep. So they get the book club, they get the homework, they get weekly worksheets that go out every Friday. So things to help you when things aren't working. If you want to decide what path to take, this or that, hey, we got a
Mm-hmm.
worksheet to help you to choose which path to take. We have a worksheet to help you have difficult conversations.
That's good.
There's a lot of worksheets in there for that. Every week they're updated, and you'll also get access to our community on Facebook as well as the workshops, which are coming soon.
Okay. And then I also just want to remind people, like, because I talk, growing up in America, we only talk about therapy and psychiatry as of modalities of healing, and reminding people community is another modality.
Mhm.
I start this podcast because when I would go on YouTube and talk about things, they'd be like, "Oh, it's easy for you. You're a therapist," and I'm like, "Therapist is my job." There's some
Ooh,
people that are jacked up.
that's real.
But I said, and so I've had a few therapists on, but it wasn't about having therapists on. It was about having other modalities of people in different disciplines. Like literally what you're doing is the reason why I started this platform, because I needed people to know there's other ways. Don't get trapped by society and how they make things like look like you need this and that. And so 3% of the therapists in America are black, right?
Mhm.
And half of them are, can't afford them. So, I just really want people to think outside the box, because, I really want people to have hope. And we're living in a time where so many people are struggling, so many people are feeling isolated. And I just want people to know that community is definitely a healing space to be a part of.
100%.
You
100%.
agree? You agree, Oliver?
Hey, that's why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you see it in other people, as you see other people be vulnerable, it gives you so much more confidence to actually say
Yep.
what you want to say next. And
Yep.
that's why we're doing for people who love people to have and give you that safe space and confidence for you to speak up next.
Because you're not alone,
Yeah.
right? Like when you're by yourself, that's the trick of the enemy. Like that depression, it needs you to stay in isolation. That anxiety needs you to stay in isolation. It needs you to be worried about the future, dwelling on the past. That's the way anxiety lies. But if we can work on getting in the moment and realizing you're not alone and you're not the only one, there, you start to be like, oh my gosh, like a weight's lifted off of you,
100%.
and logically you can know you're not alone, but I promise you, if you stay isolated, logic doesn't kick in as much. You really need that like outside validation. So yeah, I appreciate what you're doing. I think it's amazing, and I know it's so needed.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. You're amazing. What you're doing is amazing. Keep doing it. And for people that are listening, make sure you tap in. Check out his website, his Instagram. He has really dope content. You're super passionate. I could tell you love the people. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you. I appreciate this, Celeste.